Hello and welcome to another video review. This is Age of Empires 2, the Conquerors expansion for PC. This is the expansion to Age of Empires 2, the Age of Kings, and it was released the following year in 2000. And it didn't change much in the visual department. It added in new sprite work and such for the new civs, the techs, and the units. But other than that, they really didn't change any of the visuals. One thing they did do was that they added in new music. They completely redid the soundtrack for the Conquerors. To be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of the new tracks. They just don't have the same vibe as the Age of Kings. It's a lot more just kind of grim sounding stuff, and it really doesn't fit the game all that well. That said, there are a couple of tracks in the Conquerors that are really good, but I'm just not a big fan of the soundtrack overall that they decided on that, and I much prefer the original game's soundtrack. Anyway, what they did do was add in a bunch of things that changed the gameplay quite a bit. For one, they added in the reseed queue, which allows you to automatically replenish farms that just run out of production. By just going to the mill and putting these into a queue like you would with the just normal units. Only instead of just continuously producing units, the reseed queue just fills up, and whenever a farm just stops producing, it automatically gets rebuilt. And that's pretty handy because it makes farming a lot easier. They added in a few little other improvements here and there. The interface's color scheme's a little better, but that's not really the big change. They added in unit formations for ships this time. You could do that in the Age of Kings for normal units, but you couldn't do it with ships, and now you can. They improved the AI a little bit. Your stuff like your onagers, or the catapults, or whatever you want to call them, the mangonels, the onagers, don't fire on a given target if it's likely to hit your own units anymore. So that's really handy, because friendly fire is still there, and while certainly your units can get in the way of attacks now, in general, that problem that was in Age of Empires 2 is largely avoidable, so that's pretty handy. And villagers are a little better. They spread out more evenly on gathering sites now, instead of just sitting there all clumped up on one thing. But that's kind of a little minor detail, I guess. It didn't really bother me in Age of Empires 1 up through Age of Kings, but it was nice to have that. They also added in chat commands to the AI, so you can actually order your AI teammates to say, give you resources, or send troops to attack somebody, or something like that. And that's pretty cool. And it's done the same way as the taunts are, but instead of going to taunts, you actually go down to commands and you just select the command. Pretty handy. They also, like I said earlier, they added in new civs and units and techs. They added in the Spanish, the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Koreans, and the Huns. And with these new additions also came new campaigns. You have the Montezuma Aztec campaign, the campaign of El Cid, which is the Spanish. You have a campaign for Attila the Hun, and you also have the Battles of the Conquerors, which is actually just a series of historical battles, like, say, the Battle of Agincourt or Hastings. And these scenarios are kind of loosely based on these actual battles, and that's kind of cool. But the other campaigns are just as high quality as the original Age of Kings. I didn't have as much fun with the Hun campaign, which is Attila the Hun, simply because I don't like playing as the Huns. I mean, there are people who like them, but I'm not a big fan of the Huns. They just seem kind of weaklings to me. It's just kind of the way I roll. But for the most part, the new civilizations, the new units and everything, all fit in the game really well. They did something really interesting with the Aztecs and the Mayans. They made them historically accurate. They cannot use cavalry, which they wouldn't have had. So they compensate for this by having really good infantry or really good archers, and little bonuses to help them out with that. So that's pretty handy. They added in unique techs for each civ. each individual civilization now has a unique technology with it. So that's pretty cool because it does cater to their style of play, or it does something that the other civilizations just simply cannot do. And so that's pretty cool. The new techs really do add more variety to the gameplay. And so they really didn't do anything but improve this game, except for one little tiny problem. The new AI for the new civilizations. The old civilizations work just fine, but the new civilizations for some reason screwed up, and the new AI kind of screwed up. Instead of producing the units that they probably should, like a pretty well-rounded assortment like they did in the Age of Kings, they wholeheartedly focus on one thing, and that is their civilization's strength. So say you're fighting against the Britons, for instance. You'll find that you will be constantly assailed by a bunch of militia because they have neglected their infantry and gone instead for their archers and their siege units and such. So that got a little bit annoying, but for the most part, the AI works pretty well. That's my really only major gripe with it. They did kind of screw up the AI just a little, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Like the samurai, the Japanese, for instance, still go heavy on the infantry and such like that. So it does kind of balance out in the end, but it's a little bit weaker than the Age of Kings. But what this game did to screw up was just horribly minor. Nothing really impacted the game negatively that was really just major problems. It was just little tiny nags here and there that just you get a little bit bothered by them, but it's not so much that it's really that noticeable. You still have a blast playing it. They added in so much new content that it really does kind of feel like it's a new game rather than just this little expansion pack. And so, if you're going to get Age of Empires 2, definitely get the Conquerors. It's a blast to play. It's a blast to play both of them. And with the Conquerors expansion, you can actually go back and play the old Age of Empires 2, the Age of Kings campaigns with the new Conquerors features. And so that's really cool too, that kind of backwards compatibility. All the stuff that was in Age of Empires 2 that rocked is still there. So if you liked Age of Empires 2, you will like the Conquerors. It's that simple. So I can do nothing but recommend the Conquerors. Thanks for watching.